Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I'm very grateful to the organizers and the administration of this mosque for having me here, and especially so my brother Mujib Qazi Saab and his organization, North Texas Islamic Council, and it is because of him that I was able to just go to various mosques. And I'm also very grateful to my daughter, Safia. She was my student in Quaid-e-Azam Medical College many years back. And thank you very much for organizing this. I've been talking on different topics, and mainly the topics has been around parenting. But she asked me to talk upon a topic which is a very difficult topic to talk on, and that is spirituality. Well, spirituality is a very, very subjective type of understanding. This concept is very subjective. When people say, I have written 5 books on spirituality, I always fail that what will be there in those books? Because it is just like making you understand the taste of a mango when you have never tasted a mango before. So if I just tell you it's sweet, that will not be enough to explain it, that how sweet it is. I can give you examples. Sweet like a sugar? No. Sweet like a sugar cane? No. Sweet like an apple? No. Like a honey? No. The only way you can understand the taste of a mango will be by experiencing it, not by knowing it cognitively. There's no one who can just explain to it. Only you have to take a chunk of it in your mouth and then you'll understand. And then you may not be able to explain it to somebody else, but at least you will have the feeling of it. So spirituality is exactly the same type of concept. So it is a subjective concept. And subjective concepts always are unique to everybody. Those concepts which are objective, they can be generalized. So scientific studies and the principles of inquiry, to study a scientific fact can be generalized. Because whatever I tell you, you can replicate in the lab. You can verify it in a group of people. But these type of abstract concepts are very difficult to explain. I would like to mention one person, and I'm sure when I'll take his name, you will all be familiar with him, and that is Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey probably is the first person who objectively tried to explain what spirituality is. So when we talk about spirituality, normally we think that will mean being regular in the ritualistic practices, being more namazi, roza rakhna, tasbih karna, ibadat karna. But when we talk about spirituality in an objective terminology, then this is actually not a religious definition. And I will use this paradigm to talk about spirituality because this is an area where a subjective concept is converted into an objective concept. Because I have learned over the years that whatever topic we are talking about, at the end of the topic, there has to be some take-home messages. There has to be something which is going to affect our behavior. If we just listen something and when we leave that meeting, we have nothing to do, then perhaps at the most, that talk has just burdened our memory and not more than that. And we can talk it again, and that's the only benefit we get from that talking. So this is why I thought very carefully when Safia just asked me to talk about spirituality, and in next 25 to 30 minutes, I will just share with you how objectively we can define spirituality. See, there are 4 main aspects of our being. One is our physicality, and it is very easy to understand. It deals with our body. So our eating, our sleeping, our health, all these things, our houses, our clothing, and all those things which money can buy, they are related to our physicality. And then we have got another part of our being, which is our intellect. And that deals with our understanding about the world, getting the data, then processing it, then blending it with our memory, then blending it with our imaginating power, and then developing algorithms in our mind, and then solving the problems. So this is what is called our intellect. And the third being of us is our emotionality. Emotionality is our inner environment. How do we feel? Are we feeling happy? Are we feeling angry? Are we feeling frustrated? Are we anxious? So this is the third part of us. And the fourth part is our spirituality, right? Now, in order to understand objectively what spirituality means is, this is perhaps one aspect of our life which distinguishes us from rest of the creatures. If you compare physicality of a human being with the physicality of other animals, perhaps we are way inferior to them. We cannot fly like birds. We cannot swim like fish. We cannot climb the tree, the way other animals can do. We cannot creep fast as a snake can. We cannot listen as efficiently as some of the animals do. We can't even see so effectively as a cat can. You cannot compare yourself physically with an elephant or with a tiger. So if you talk about physicality, we are much way below than rest of the animals. However, the intellect and emotionality are the areas where human beings are higher than others. Animals do have intellect. Animals do have emotionality, but that is only related to their survival. Not more than that. But humans have got intellect and emotionality which is way above their survival needs. They are much more than their survival needs. But spirituality aspect of a human being is only aspect which distinguishes it from rest of the creatures on this world. Most likely, as far as studies are concerned, animals don't have any spirituality. And perhaps this is why they will not be answerable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when they will vanish from here. Humans are answerable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after death because they have a fourth aspect of their being, and that is the spirituality. Since alhamdulillah we belong to that group of people which are believers, which know that when we will die, we're going to have a life hereafter. So it is very important for us that we have to understand our spirituality. Because if we don't understand our spirituality, just a physical well-being or an intellectual well-being or an emotional satisfaction will be enough for us. And we will be satisfied falsely, and we will think that we have a wonderful life. But the moment we'll close our eyes, we'll see that there is another aspect which we had to address it while we were alive in this world. So that aspect of life, I will just be briefly touching. Now, spirituality, whatever we do in this world can be explained with one word, what? How we do it can be explained with one word called how. Now, these two are related to the three aspects of life I've just mentioned, that is physical, intellectual, and emotional. But the third question is why? Irrespective that what you do, but what is your reason of doing it determines our spirituality. I can give you an example. First part of this example is a real story. The second part is a fiction. I was in Nishtar Medical College in Multan. A student came, and that student's father, he got admission in first year on a merit. His father used to work as a laborer. And he told that since I have born, I have seen that my father has mud on his hands. Even he washes it 10 times, that mud is so fixed in his hands because he's daily he's working with that, with the mud. And his mother used to work as a maid in various houses. He had 4 sisters, and all of them were also working as assistant maids in various houses. And that boy was brilliant. He got admission in medical college. And he said, my aim of life is that when I'll be a doctor, I will somehow clean my father's hand. I don't want to see that mud on his hands. And I want that my mother should not work in someone's home. And I will at least let my sisters get educated up to the level of a graduation. And I will manage that my parents go for Hajj. And then the word he used, मैं मुल्तान में पक्का मकान बनाऊंगा. For him, a brick house is a big achievement. And in front of my eyes, he became a doctor, he became a brilliant doctor, he did his training, and then he started his clinic, and within few years, he achieved all those things. Now, second part of this story is a fiction. There is another person, he comes from the same village. His aim is that I see that when ladies deliver babies, most of them, they die. There is an infant mortality rate. There is maternal mortality rate. I want to become a doctor, and when I'll be a doctor, I will not let this happen. And I'll help the ladies and children of my society so that the maternal mortality rate and infant mortality rate is not that high. Now, both of them did the same thing. Same school, same education, very honestly they did their training, they very honestly they run their clinic, but their why question was different. The answer to their why question was different. Now that actually determines the spirituality. Although the act is the same. I can give you another example. There's a big, neighborhood where there is no grocery store. And a person says, there is no grocery store here. It's a great opportunity to have a business over here. I'll open a shop here and I'll just run it very honestly and I'll earn a lot of money from that. That is a why. Another person says, I live in a locality, my sisters and my daughters and elderly people, they have to go to a long distance to buy the grocery. I'll open a store here so that they are comfortable, so that a convenience is created for them. He does exactly the same thing which first person did, but his why is much higher. A third person says, since a long I was thinking to open an orphanage house, but I never had enough money. This is an opportunity that I will make a store and I'll earn some money from here. This will make my living better, plus I'll have some money so that I can fulfill my dream and I'll open an orphan house. All of them, for an outer person, they are doing the same thing exactly. But the answer to their why is different, and this is what is determining their spirituality. So a subjective concept can be converted into an objective concept by just looking at our why. I am a doctor, but why? And then you can trickle down into very simple things. I have to buy a new phone. Why? I have to change my car. Why? I want to shift to USA from Pakistan. Why? I want to go back to Pakistan. Why? And the answer of this why will determine our spirituality. Right? And how we match it and gauge it, which answer of the why is higher one and which one is lower one. For that, I can just share with you a little parallel. One can live his life and purpose of his life can be very low when it is revolving around lust. If the initiating factor, the motivational factor in our life is revolving around lust, anything which is pleasurable, and we want to do it, we are living at a very, very low why answer. In other words, our spirituality is very low. Still a higher level is a level of desire. Whatever we desire, we want to get it. This is little higher level than that of our that is the second level. And let me share with you, if we live our life at desire level, our life is at a subhuman level. I want to just share with you that no animal lives at a desire level. If you have pets in your home, you feed a pet, and if his stomach is full, no matter how delicious food you offer to an animal will not take it. Because animals even don't live at desire level. They live at the third level, which is level of need. And if we just work and live our life in such a way that we are just fulfilling our needs, and which are the just needs, not unethical needs, even then we are at the animal level. And our spirituality is at the most at the animal level. And no matter how nicely we plan our life, we cannot match an animal. Because animals don't need parenting classes for grooming their next generation. They don't require to build houses. They don't require vaccines. They don't require any other thing for having a successful life. Humans are expected to have a why answer, which is above lust, above desire, and above need. And the level is that where whatever they do, the yield of it is not only used by themselves, their spouse and their offspring and siblings, but it is being used for those which are not even related to them, and even those which are not known to them. If our life and answer to our why question is not fully fulfilling this level, then we are not having a life which is worthy of a human being. And this is just a minimum human level. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be at superhuman level. And if you allow me, maybe at the cosmic level. But this is a way, higher levels, and in the short period of time, perhaps we cannot discuss it in its perspective. Now, in the last part of my discussion, I hope we are on one page. Should I repeat what I've said up till now? Whatever we do is what, how we do it is how, but why we do it, it makes us the human being. And in other words, why will determine the purpose of our life. If our why answer is revolving around our needs of the body, that means we are living at the physical level only. Maybe at intellectual level. Even then we have not touched the human level. Maybe at the emotional level, but still we are not close to the human level. Human level will be only when we have at least the fourth level of spirituality, which I've discussed. And in the last part, I told you that there has to be some take-home messages. So we'll do an exercise, and this exercise will be a kind of a self-reflection to see whether our why in our life, in other words, our purpose of life, at least touches the human level or not. So I'll be silent for 15 seconds, and I will request you, and I'll promise that whatever I am going to ask to you, I will not ask you to just tell us. It will be just private, between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I'll be silent for 15 seconds, and I will request you to coin a sentence in your mind. My purpose of life is, and fill in the blank. Right? In other words, this is the answer to why I am alive. There were around, in Pakistan, I don't know the statistics here, 18,000 people die on average one day in Pakistan. And if I'm in Pakistan, I'm not one of them, fortunately. So I have been given another day by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why Allah has granted me another day? So this is actually my question. We are alive, we are breathing, why? So I'll be silent now, and I can make this question more easy. What is the purpose of my life? This question and why am I alive, they are actually the same question. So time starts now. So thank you very much. Now I'll just tell you 5 things, and you match this sentence with these 5 things. And we'll respect your privacy. We'll not ask you to do it, in front of everybody. In your mind, you can do some correction, and I'm sure that you already have fulfilled this criteria. The first checklist is, whatever sentence you have coined, it should be an objective term, not a subjective term. I'll explain it. I will reduce my weight is a subjective term. It has no meaning. However, I will run 4 kilometers a day. I will not take fizzy drinks, and I will not take concentrated sugar. Now, this is an objective term. Objective term is what? Which is measurable, which is reproducible, and which is repeat. You can repeat it. So whatever sentence you made in your mind, if the sentence is, मैं अल्लाह का नेक बंदा बनना चाहता हूँ, you have to revise it. मैं इंसानियत की खिदमत करना चाहता हूँ, so you have to revise it. Because it's a subject term. मैं इंसानियत की खिदमत करना चाहता हूँ. There is no Mrs. Insaniyat will come and knock your door and you will just do the khidmat. Right? You have to convert it into a measurable, reproducible, visible act. So I give you 10 seconds. If your sentence is already an objective sentence, perfectly fine. If it is not, and it is in a vague terminology, then convert it into a objective term in your mind. Thank you very much. Now the second yardstick and litmus paper test is, whatever you thought in your mind, should not be your need. For example, if said that my purpose is that I want to build a big house in New York, there's no harm in it. But this is your need. I want this much money. This is your need. I want this designation. I want to be the chairman of this organization. I want to be professor in that. Well, this is your need. So I'll give you again 10 seconds that if whatever you thought, there is no harm in your need. If your need is that you should have at least one house in each capital of each state of United States of America, and if it is your genuine need, there's no problem in it. Our religion doesn't stop. If your need is a helicopter, you must have a helicopter. So I'm not saying that if your need was related to money, you did something wrong. But put it in a need category. It is not in a purpose category. It is not in a great why category. It is not in a purpose category. Right? You got my point? So I give you another 10 seconds. No, it's all right. Thank you. Please get in. Please get in, please. Thank you. So, are you with me in one page? So I give you 10 seconds more, please. Now, please revise it in such a way. Please revise it in such a way that this is not your need. And think of a purpose which is not your need. All right, thank you very much. Now the third yardstick is that whatever you thought should not be time bound. By 2025, I want to achieve this. And for example, on 31st of December, you achieved that, then on 1st January, you should die because your purpose is fulfilled. If these glasses have fulfilled its purpose, I will just throw it away. So if whatever you thought in your head was time bound, then this cannot be your purpose. And that is not addressing your spirituality. You have to revise it in such a way that it is not time bound. If you want me to give you an example, the purpose of Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not time bound. In our worldly examples, purpose of Adibul Hasan Rizvi Saab, purpose of Abdul Sattar Eidi Saab was not time bound. So I'll give you another 10 seconds. Whatever you thought, please revise it in such a way that it should not be time bound. Thank you very much. And the fourth yardstick is that whatever you thought should be noble. And the definition of noble I've already shared with you. The beneficiaries of what your effort will be should not be you, your spouse, your siblings, and your offsprings. But they should be people which you don't know. And please be sure that charity is not nobility. Charity is we have excess of money and some of the money we give it to someone else. Nobility is raising the level of a person by doing something in which his life standard is being increased. That is what nobility is. And many a times we confuse charity with nobility. Charity has its own importance. Charity has its own value. But as far as purpose of life is concerned, we are talking about nobility, not charity. So whatever was your purpose of life in your head, which you thought, should be noble. Now these four are the criterias for having a high spiritual life or a purposeful life for a Hindu, for a Sikh, for a Christian, for a Jew, for an atheist, for a Muslim, for everybody. This is why I said that with this we can generalize this term of spirituality. But by virtue of our attachment to that Jamaat, which is Jamaat of Allah ke Bande and Allah Nabi ke Ummati, because of that, our purpose of life and spirituality will still be incomplete if we don't attach the fifth thing with it. And that fifth thing is, whatever we thought is our purpose of life should not be that which can pull us to Jahannam, but should be one which will take us to Jannat. Anything which is in any way contradictory to those virtues which are required to go to Jannat, our purpose has to comply with that. And if somehow our effort is taking us close to Jahannam, then this spirituality is very low spirituality. So these are 5 criteria of determining our spirituality. Number 1, it should be an objective work. It should be visible. It is not just in our head, it should be visible. Some demonstrable act. Number 2, it should not be our need. Number 3, it should not be time bound. Number 4, it should be noble. And I shared with you the definition of noble. Nobility is not charity. Charity has got another importance on its own. But nobility is totally different from charity. And 5th one is that we have to safeguard ourselves from hellfire of Jahannam. And we have to do all those things which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent us on wahi in Quran, and Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam has demonstrated it with his seerah and his teaching and his life, which actually saves us from fire of Jahannam and takes us to Jannat. So I'm sure with this exercise, we will have some foods for thought. And when we'll go home, inshallah, we will further reflect on it, and we'll see that every day one of life, that the clock is ticking, and it's just like a sand in our hand, which is slowly, dropping down from our hand. So life is like this. With each breath, we are closer to our death. And before our death, we have to see that whether our life is purposeful life or is not purposeful life, whether its spirituality is high or not. And if our effort, most of the effort of 24 hours is revolving around our body, then this is something very serious. If it is only involving our intellect, less serious, but still serious. And or our emotionality, उसने मुझे ये क्यों कह दिया, उसने मुझे यूं कह दिया, इसमें मेरी बेइज्जती हो गई, इसमें मेरी बेइज्जती नहीं होगी. It is revolving around our ego all the time. Still we are at a very low level. It has to get to a level where it is at human level. And these 4 things are the minimum criteria for labeling us or for our qualification that our life and our purpose of life and our spirituality is a human level. And 5th one is necessary for us because we have recited Kalima la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Thank you very much for patient listening. That's all from my side. If there is a question, you're most welcome to ask.